Hi there. It's me, and it's the weekend already, and I'm gonna do Friday's lesson, maybe Friday and Saturday. I didn't do a daily video yesterday. I took a day off since I did a daily video almost every day for 2 weeks. Those daily game videos will be posted on YouTube, but just not on the Red Hot Porn site, unless more people ask for them, just so I don't overwhelm the other bloggers on this site. Now, last time I briefly showed you guys the Scillion Nod-Off variation opening, which is a good opening. However, what makes the Scillion work, the Nod-Off, is Black's cooperation. That pawn move into a6 is what makes the opening the open, and it's really good. The Scillion is a good opening for any player wanting to progress their game. Um, I know a lot of beginners, when offered the choice between black and white, tend to choose black because they don't like the option of going first, and they don't really know the opening. The good thing about the Scillion is even if black does not cooperate and play the Scillion with you, it still allows you 20 moves to do whatever you want to get your side prepared and set up. And it will be black that would have to come up with an attack to break your side, unless he allows you to develop and bring your attack on to wear yourself out. Now, the game I'm going to be showing you is a game that I remember well from the 1993 series that between Nigel Short and Kasparov. That kind of competition was the groundbreaking for the Night-Off variation. It was the favorite between them two. And Game 10 in particular has a lot of potential things that are good for any up-and-coming player that really wants to, is not a novice anymore, but really an amateur chess player. Um, Learning this stuff, like they were in a high-pressure tournament, there was a lot of tactics and skills that you need to learn off and on the board and how to deploy them. And I remember this really well, and I'm going to play it back for you. Now, one of the things that really pissed me off, sorry for the cursing, while watching this when I was a kid, is the freaking commentators. The Channel 4 commentators, you could tell, knew not very much. Uh, they maybe play on a club level. One of them was an international master, but they certainly weren't on the level of Kasparov and Nigel Short, and you could just tell that. Um, Now, I don't know if you are one of those guys that believes in luck. However, if you are a chess player, I don't see how you can not believe in luck. And so you want to do stuff that doesn't jinx your game or put you off your game or anything. Like in baseball with a pitcher, if they're on a no-hitter, you don't talk to the pitcher, you don't mention it, the perfect game or anything. You just shut up, don't mention it. Otherwise, you can jinx it. Now, the commentators on Channel 4 were convinced that Nigel Short was going to win. It's going to be, oh, this is going to be a great day for British chess. It's going on all about the statistics that it's easier to climb Mount Everest than it was to beat Gary Kasparov, um, and really stupid stuff like that. And to me, they jinxed the game. They were convinced that he was going to win, and you know what happened? He didn't win. I was only like 11 then, and I put the blame solely on them for jinxing the game. Because I don't know if you guys believe it that much, but I certainly did. Because to everyone else, there was one saying in chess: "Eyes above all, eyes above see all." Like everyone else can see the moves that you may not be able to while sitting at the board. What people don't understand is the pressure that you put yourself under, the pressure from the cameras, from people watching, the TV, millions of people at home watching this one game because it's a World Chess Championship, and then you're under time pressure. Yeah, it's a lot to handle, and it's easy to mess up. Um, so the main lesson that they help to demonstrate is don't count your chickens before they hatch. The game's not over until it's over. And it also demonstrates, like, never resign if you don't have to. Um, don't resign too early. because you never know what your opponent may do. Under pressure, they may crack, and especially in a tournament like this, where the stakes are high, sponsorship deals and everything like that, millions and thousands and stuff like that. Gary Kasparov went on to be more famous, play Deep Blue and stuff like that, and Nigel Short's almost unheard of, just known as a public figure. And so they played on game 10. They played the Scillion. Nigel Short had the white pieces. Gary Kasparov had the black. Oops, I keep forgetting. We've got to get rid of this. This is the normal Sicilian. Now after knight takes f4, d4, knight came out to f6, and then knight just no, sorry, knight to short plays bishop c4. Gary played a6. Okay, somehow I missed a move because part of the opening is for that. So just, I know that's not right, but he played bishop b3 then. Now knight c came to d7 because he's going to come bring the knight out here. And white played f4. Knight came to c5 to help attack the because there's now two pieces attacking an e4 pawn, only one defending it. Now this is where they changed. On move 9, Nigel Short put his queen to f3, and that's fine for this variation. Now Gary Kasparov started his attack on g5. It's a normal response for the knight off. You push a6 to push the pawn on. That's why Nigel pushed the bishop back because he knew that was going to come anyway. That's the whole threat. Normally you can play a3 to put the bishop in the hole, and then you would have a great strong diagonal, which they did do in a couple of the other games. So queen came to f3, pawn to g5. Okay, apparently I missed a move. Yes, black had moved to e6. Yes, because white's next move was f4. Sorry, f5. There could have been any other things that you could have done. You could have pushed the pawn to e5, but this is the one that he went with. Bishop came to d7, which I know looks odd because the whole point of going to g5 is to put the bishop on the diagonal. The guy came back with this. Now, f takes e6 is the next move. Oops. Sorry guys, I know I'm going to keep doing this by accident. He took with this. Now this is, seeing the game, this is where I think Gary made his first mistake. There was a number of ways that he could recapture this pawn. He recaptured it by taking f takes e6. Pawn takes back. A better move, I believe, is knight coming back, and I think I remember him saying he forgets sometimes that knights can go backwards. But even if the bishop took, that might have been better. But he took with this because you always take towards the center. And the other main reason why he did it is because this pawn is isolated on its own. So by doing this, that pawn is now strong again, and now both his pawns have two next to each other. So it strengthens his pawn line up a little bit, but so he comes back to e6. Okay, so after that, Nigel came out with bishop out to g5 to pin the knight. He's got two pieces on. I don't think he expected much to happen out of this. Bishop came to e7, no big deal. More of a nuisance. Now, Nigel Short, for some reason, took a long time to remember him. He decided, because he can castle either way. Now, I don't know why he took so long. He took almost an hour to decide to castle queenside. But he did. But let's have a look. If he castled kingside, he would have a queen and a rook coming down on the f file, which is looking pretty strong now. I don't see anything too far against it. The only weakness is that the black bishop is black still has his black squared bishop and the dark queen, and he's got a giant hole in f2, which is normally the rule that if you want to castle kingside and you got a hole, make sure the dark squared bishop is off, or vice versa. With that pawn being off, make sure the white squared bishop is off, because you're gonna get headaches. But other than that, I really don't see too much against why white would want to castle kingside. I mean, it looks perfectly fine to me. The bishop's not going to come out too soon. If he pushes the pawn onto e5, maybe to push the knight away, or better yet, he can carry on his attack, push this knight away, because the knight's now trapped almost. He would have to come to a4, and probably swap the knights off, and then no, he can't do that because it's protected by the bishop. So if knight went to a4, knight takes knight, bishop takes knight, bishop takes bishop, and Kaspar would be a piece up. So Nigel would have to bring his knight here, and then maybe put his see. So maybe that's why he didn't castle, because that would be bad right there. You've got a pin against the knight and against his rook. So he would have to do something like this drastically, and then you got en passant. And yeah, that looks horrible now. See that? Just imagine that pawn gone for now. Yeah, white's whole line is deteriorated. So that's the main reason why. So Nigel spent 52 minutes to figure all of that out. And he castled. Black castled. Now, the commentators again thought this was a really bad move. But Nigel was ahead of him, and he was planning a queen sacrifice here, which is remarkably brave. He pushed the pawn up to e5. I don't know why he couldn't just take back that pawn. Like, the pawn takes e5, and that's the end of the threat right there. But Gary, being Gary, attacked. He wanted to attack his bishop, and, he saw the threat on the queen, which was Nigel Short's plan. He goes bishop takes e7, kind of has to. The knight going to the center of the board to kind of force the hand. And then black recaptured. So queen takes e7. And then I believe, yeah, that's right, knight was recaptured. And what's been left behind is the queen. I mean, obviously it was a trap, so I don't know why Gary had to take it. I mean, they said Gary Kasparov had to take the queen. He just had to. I mean, if someone takes the knight, leaving the queen open for me, I don't know. Would you think that's a mistake? Look at that as your point of view. If someone had just taken that piece, would you go ahead and take the queen? Or would you think it's a mistake? I mean, I guess it depends who you're playing against, but a grandmaster like Nigel Short in a chess world championship game, you have to think that he knows what he's doing, and nothing is as easy as they seem. So why did he have to take? I mean, why couldn't Black just recapture the knight and just exchange the knights, and then pawn takes pawn, and again that would be the end of the threat. And then White would have to think of something else. However, White sacrificed his queen. Rook takes queen. The knight on E. E takes the pawn, supported by the knight in the middle. So the queen is now attacked, and the rook is on free. Gary, just trying to cause some trouble, took the bishop, gave check. There was knight takes b3 check. And then Nigel recaptured. And now Gary had to move his queen. Like, Gary put himself in so much more trouble than he had to. I don't get why he had to take the queen, and he could have avoided all of this, but then after this queen f8, rook was recaptured. Then Black took the pawn, and knight to c5, that's right. So that's the end of Nigel's plan. He sacrificed his queen for a huge passed pawn that's really close to getting to the end, and a rook. Let's see. Let's add this up. You got 5 and 5 is 10. 3, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 versus you got 9, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. So point value, Black is ahead. But I don't know. Ask yourself this question. If you had no idea who was playing, just came up to this board, which side would you want to play on? Would you want to play as Black, or would you want to play this position? as white. I mean, white has the two rooks and the extra knight and that huge pass pawn. Okay, so after knight c5, Gary moved to knight bishop c6. Now rook on h came to e1. I don't know why he didn't just attack the queen and push the queen away. And it would have got her off the file, but I guess he could have just checked or anything. Now Gary responded by pushing the pawn up, and I thought it was brilliant, because at first I was like, why can't he just take the pawn? Alright, rook takes pawn. When I was 11, that is. And then I saw it like when they pointed it out. If rook takes pawn, the queen's gonna come to f4 check and fought the rook. So Gary's, even though positionally and by play-wise, he's out of the game, he's just trying to cause havoc. Little tricks like this. Now, so after he went to e5, pawn went up to d7, getting very close to rook d8, and then Nigel pushed the rook up to attack the bishop. So, and Nigel's risking to capture two pieces for the pass pawn, which is not a bad exchange, but still. And now he played a5, trying to be a nuisance. Nigel responded a3. I agree with what they said, that maybe there was a better move for white somehow. Like, he could have played knight to e2, d2, maybe. Threatening the capture of the pawn. Not really, because you would be able to take. But he played a3. Pawn came to a4. Knight did come to d2 then. Queen came to g2. So you can't really capture the pawn still, because queen would come down, rook would come down, and it would be checkmate. And then you push the pawn to c3, which again looks like a really odd move. I guess he did that to give his king some breathing room. But still, that does not make sense. He came out to bishop d5, Gary, and he was going to exploit that weakness that Nigel just created by pushing that pawn up. He came back to knight d3. Gary carried on with his plan, bishop b3, which is really strong now because the king can't get out anywhere. It's only got two squares it can go to, b1 and a1. Knight comes back out, knight takes e5. Oops, sorry, forgot. Okay, so after knight takes e5, black recaptures the pawn on h2. Black Okay, I'm trying to remember now. Um, Knight takes. Oh, we're gonna when you play next, because that pawn is really dangerous for black. Knight takes. I'm trying to read my old white. I don't think my previous move was correct. Let's get that pawn back. Instead of that, because it says knight goes to e6. Oh, that's right. Rook takes e5. Sorry, I'm still trying to read my writing from when I was 11. Rook takes e5. Queen takes pawn. Okay, so knight c. Okay, knight. Rook takes e5. Queen takes pawn. Knight. Somehow. Yeah, that's right. Knight c6. Queen takes rook. Then rook. Okay, one of the things it says is okay. Um, just for the example, rook e8, king comes to f7. And I can put that there. King came to f7. Knight takes d8. Oh, sorry, can't be in check. I don't know. Stupid game. So knight takes d8. King to g6. And then, that's right, the queen was here. They must have taken that rook. I must have got my moves messed up. Now, yeah, this is right. Now, with white to move, either rook or knight here would have been strong. And then the pawn would have got to the end. Became a queen. He chose knight e6. Now, everyone was thinking what black gonna do. They were gonna, like, they didn't know how Gary was gonna stop that pawn from becoming a queen. As you can see, it's really dangerous. However, everyone missed this. Queen h2, threatening checkmate on the back rank. Queen coming to g1. Okay. White, Nigel played knight f4 check. King went to h6. Now this is where everyone was absolutely screaming. This was the, well, let's look at it. Before here, this was where they would start singing and dancing and saying, white's won, they don't possibly see where black can go. Like, how do you stop the attack? Like, what's the one move that white can do? Black moves this. So just name a move, any move that white can do to stop the attack with the queen coming to beat g1 and threatening the mate, and allow you black to move and then get your queen. Now the whole point is, Nigel at this point was 2 minutes from his clock falling down. They have like an hour and 15 minutes to make 40 moves for time control. And Nigel was under so much freaking pressure. He had 8 moves to go to make 2 minutes. So he really didn't have time to think. He had to think while Gary was using his time. And he took his time with this move before he went to h6. I mean, like, if it was a normal game, Gary could have resigned. But since now Nigel is under time control with less than a minute to go, Gary hung on there because he didn't know how he was going to checkmate him. So, as white, what's the one move that you can see does anything? I mean, you could do anything. You could do rook to e1, but everyone was screaming for Nigel to play knight d3. So if queen comes here, stupid thing. Nigel, if the queen went down there, Nigel could block the check. Now, no matter what move Gary does, that pawn becomes a queen next move. However, Nigel missed that. He did go to knight d3. Queen went to... yeah, he went to g1, check, which I can't show. Then rook came to e1 instead. And this is when everyone was like, oh my god, what's Nigel doing? Because he had literally 4 seconds left. Rook, queen came back to g5 to stop the pawn getting to d8. If the pawn got to d8, it was game over. Knight came back to e5 to protect the pawn. played g6. Nigel he was just under time control. He forgot about the bishop being on this diagonal, was trying to fork the king and queen. Rook came to f1. Bishop e6 to attack that pawn. White couldn't afford to lose that piece. Now, Nigel's now 3 moves away from time control. He pushed his knight there. They swapped. Bishop took. Rook took back. And then queen went to d5. And then rook to e7, yeah. However, and this shows you a solid game where if you're not sure what you're going to do, like, White could have won so many chances. Gary made a lot of mistakes, and it just shows you Gary Kasparov is just a man, purely a man, and he isn't all that a great wonder that no one could beat. Clearly, as you can see, Gary Kasparov could have been beaten and should have been beaten. However, the environment that they were playing in against was working in Gary Kasparov's favor, and he knew it, and he put Short under pressure. And again, that's what makes Gary a better chess player, because he knows how to use the environment around you to his advantage and put the pressure on his opponent. I mean, Nigel didn't do himself any favors by waiting almost an hour to castle and to get himself into time control. However, what it ended up in several moves later is they went to the bathroom. It was something like this. It was a repetitive draw. Guy got him in check. He put the knight in there. Gary replied here, and it was a 3-move repetitive draw. And this was this is a game that White should have won, but Black stole a draw. And it's a really good opening to know the Scillion, to know how to play it as White as well as Black. Mainly the attack with the Scillion on the B pawns and A pawns. And then you really got to capitalize it. I mean, he should have pushed the king forward over a little bit more. When you queenside, you put it onto the white square. But he really didn't have time. And Gary didn't do himself any favors by taking the pawn on e6 with the f pawn. Again, he should have taken back with the knight. I could spend hours and hours talking about their games. They're just really intriguing, and it was on at a perfect time for me because I was a young age, so I was able to learn so much, and this is all what I learned from the game. That as Black, don't resign too early because you got things going against in your favor. The game may not be, but everything else was. I mean, oh my God, that night going back to D3, they were screaming like this is a great day for British chess because we're gonna beat a world chess championship. British TV, how we'll never see anything like this. Yeah, it's just one of those games that just astounds and divides imagination. There were so many chances for Nigel that he could have won, even after that blunder by not putting the knight to E1. Uh, I'm sure you can have fun and nitpicking at this, but there is whatever you do take from it as a beginner or amateur player, that the Sicilian is good opening to know and master and play, even if black does not cooperate and play the Sicilian against you, you can still go ahead with the opening, and the Sicilian will give you like 20 moves before you have to respond. So this he takes, knight comes. If assume he took the has to push back. Knight comes out. It really does not matter what black does. You can do whatever you want as white and say, you can do whatever you want for 20 moves. I do not care. This is what I'm going to do. So now you can decide to castle king or queen side. Delay it as long as you want. Black still needs to get his pieces out. And white's now completely set up. Now white is looking really, really, really strong compared to black, who's so far behind. And I've played this myself a number of times like this. So let's see what white can do. He pushed that there to get a diagonal attack. Now you want to be careful yet, because black still hasn't decided to castle. You would want to put the rook on to here and start a pawn charge all the way down to the king's side if he castles into and the main reason again you want to move the king is because you don't want to leave your queen in front of your king for more than one move. So for someone like this, you can just push the pawn on, thinking you're going to attack the bishop. Just start pushing the pawns on. Black's going to decide now if he's going to castle king or queen side. The pawns coming up probably makes it easy. See, it's just like an OMG, like the bishop's almost trapped. He can't castle yet because the bishop would be lost. Oops. I mean, this is a type of game that would happen on club level that you would play during your games. I mean, these three pawns supported by the two rooks are going to be unstoppable. But, as I said, the best way to stop a pawn charge, shove a pawn in the way. They're only as strong as long as they are together and supported by each other. So, black's move is that. Pawn takes, bishop takes back. There's a giant hole, okay, but so what? Now bishop takes pawn here. Can't take it back with the rook because the queen's supporting it. Now is a really good time to castle for black. Bishop here, if he really wanted to. Rook to e1. E8, sorry. So black's not doing too bad either, but then you can take the knight. Bishop takes bishop. Rook recaptures. Pawn and bishop protecting each other. You know, it's you do get a lot of draws out of the Scillion if both sides know how to play against each other. I mean, the king side on either black or white is totally destroyed, but the queen side is strong. So that is the Sicilian Night Off version. And what I just showed you is a normal Sicilian opening for white with black playing e5 instead of c5. I mean, that's a typical standard game that would happen. Okay, so this is it for Friday Night Club. I hope you learned something. I really strongly suggest that you watch the videos. I'm sure they're on YouTube. In fact, I think I'm going to find it and watch it myself. Alright, have fun.